Incidents of xenophobia have long been a problem in the country, and this year we've seen a number of incidents in which foreign nationals have been harassed or attacked. In most cases, it's by South Africans who claim that the foreigners are taking their jobs. Now, researchers have debunked 5 myths about foreign nationals in South Africa. Researcher Anthony Kaziboni is joining us now. He's from the Institute for the Future of Knowledge at the University of Johannesburg. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Welcome to today. Firstly, before we talk about the myths themselves, that the 5 xenophobic myths about immigrants in South Africa, tell us about this research. When was this research done?
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me, Dan. This research was done in May, June. It was a combination of the Institute for the Future of Knowledge, and we worked together with the Institute for Security Studies. What we did was we looked at different literature that exists on migrants from credible sources, and we juxtaposed that across the different myths that have been perpetuated by people, unfortunately, of people in government and politicians. So the research actually relies on credible sources of data, such as the World Bank, Stats SA, the ILO.
Okay, well, then one gets the sense that it is from credible and authoritative sources that you've put together. I've seen the 5 myths. I just want us, for the benefit of our viewers, to go one by one so you can explain then what you found. The first myth is that South Africa is swamped with immigrants. What does your research show?
So there's a common belief that the immigrant population in South Africa is in the tens of millions. One politician once commented that there are at least 10 million undocumented migrants. So looking at data from Statistics South Africa, Stats SA noted last year that there were 3.95 million migrants in South Africa. This includes both regular, legal, and irregular, illegal migrants. And this is also supported by the United Nations, which did a study in 2019 and estimated that figure to be around 4.2 million. So by looking at that, you can get a sense of the number of migrants that are there in the country, regular or not. Some people have noted that because of porous borders, we can't. But from Stats SA, the Chief Director for Demography and Population, Diego Terralde, explained this at length, and he notes that the population growth in South Africa cannot and should not be attributed to immigrants, but rather fertility. So again, this substantiates the finding that there are just about 4 million migrants in the country. About
6.5% of the total population. Okay, myth number 2, immigrants steal jobs and employment opportunities from South Africans. What does your research find?
This is a very contentious one because there is a belief around migrants stealing jobs, and anecdotal evidence supports that. And this is based on, the areas that migrants congregate. These are also areas in which you find struggling South Africans, disadvantaged South Africans. And, when you look at the decent labor framework from the ILO, it indicates that migrants take jobs that don't conform to the framework. So in terms of statistics, a study done by the World Bank again notes that for every 1 regular migrant, 1 illegal migrant, jobs for 2 South Africans are created. So it's important also to note that migrants that are in the country involved in business tend to hire South Africans.
Okay. Myth number 3, and just to speed up a little bit in the interest of time, I want to cover all 5. Immigrants contribute to or are responsible for high levels of crime. That's myth number 3. What does your research show?
So from the research, we looked at figures that were provided by Justice Lamula. And these figures indicated that to an extent, there is a proportion of migrants in the country's jail, but there is no evidence that supports that migrants are responsible for most of the crime. And this can also be supported by comments that were made by the